We are doing our we're doing our village square. Village square, it's the village square. Just making sure I watch it simultaneously. So, right. Why is it? All right. Why is it paused on YouTube? All right. Looks like everything is on and popping. I want to say good morning to everyone. Huh? Right. It is 9:04, running a little late today. So, I want to welcome everybody. Today is a special day because we are going to have to rearrange what we're doing. We don't know exactly how things are going to be moving forward, but we will not be doing it at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's because I have accepted a position teaching children of color here in Boston. And so it seems as if I will not have time in the morning to do it unless I do it a little earlier, which I'm thinking about. But nonetheless, to get started, we will be taking a hiatus from our Monday mornings. I know. I probably have to get up early, isn't that what it means? But will you people be awake? Will you be awake? Do you want to hear me at 6 o'clock in the morning? Anyway, I may be up early that time anyway, so we may be doing it there. So let me get started with today's show. Welcoming everybody. I think we're on Facebook as well as, yes, we're on Facebook as well as, it has been paused on Facebook. Why has it been paused on Facebook? Sorry, we're having technical snafus, technical difficulties, which have I don't know what's going on. All right. Anyway, doesn't seem like Facebook is cooperating today. Nonetheless, the show must go on. No. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's episode of The Village Square, your community podcast brought to you by the AfroAmerican Culture Initiative. We're bringing you information that the community needs early in the morning to get you over the hump into work with all what you need to know in our communities of color. This episode is brought to you live on AfroSurgeRadio.com. Please check us out on AfroAmerican TV on our YouTube channel. Subscribe. And of course, you can catch us on all your favorite social media. My name is Marlon Solomon. I'll be your host, and I am the founder of the AfroAmerican Culture Initiative, a Boston-based nonprofit organization. Our mission is to build cultural bridges in the African diaspora through education, technology, and travel. So, our show called The Village Square. How is the village doing this morning? The village is reeling from a lot of the chaos, the violence that has been taking place on the streets of America. First of all, in the last 7 days, do you know there have been, I think in the last 7 days, there have been 7 to 10 mass shootings in America. Yes, we're talking about mass shootings. So therefore, maybe one person got killed, maybe nobody got killed, but there was somebody trying to shoot and kill a bunch of people. Right? It started, and then we heard of the big ones you heard about are the ones in Atlanta, where the Asian American community was targeted by, seemingly very ill man, who now, seemingly very ill man, whose propensity for violence, to, I guess, disguise a sexual addiction, regardless of what you want to say. Because we're not going to demonize mental illness. It is a true illness, right? And sexual addiction and all these things, these are real things. We're not going to say that they're not. But the issue is that when you have these real things, you shouldn't have the outlets like guns to act them out. This is what the issue is. Then we had Boulder, Colorado, yesterday, or the Monday, where a man wakes up, goes by his guns just 6 days earlier, walks into a grocery store and starts shooting, killing 10 people. Just like that. Some of them were just at work. Some of them were just going to stop to get a cup of coffee or to pay some bills, or ordinary things that all of us do all the time. So that's the state of our village for today, Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. We are reeling from the violence. Now on to our show. Sorry, it's quite emotional to always have all these issues, They're not necessary. Anyway, on to our coronavirus watch. We have the current death toll in the United States is 543,849. So almost 544,000 souls died of the coronavirus. Last week we had 536. So that's nearly 8,000 more. So the death toll definitely is going down across the United States. Well, the death rate, sorry, not the death toll. The death toll is, of course, climbing. And 13.7% of people in the United States have now been fully vaccinated, up from 11.28%. Now that number, you can see now that the rate has to really drastically increase, because if in a week we're getting maybe about 2%, close to 2% extra vaccination, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2% every week, right? Before we get to 40 is going to be an issue. So that's where we are. The numbers from Massachusetts, we're seeing increased cases. And this is what we've been saying, that the relaxing of a lot of these measures are giving a false sense of things are over. And now cases are increasing. And yes, we had 15 deaths last week. We're up to 21 this week. Last week we had 1,200 cases. This week we have 1,800 cases. So probably about 30-something% increase. Very, very important. Texas is 4,395. They've gone down from last week. And their deaths, 85 deaths. Now that in itself is very remarkable. I mean, Texas was racking hundreds of people dying every day. For them to be down to 85, that's very good. The USA cases, 58, basically kind of holding steady from last week, a little bit higher. But the deaths are definitely low. 892 deaths yesterday from 1,245. Now, this is the first time in a long time, as I've been doing this show, that we've seen a drop in deaths, a drop in deaths nationally. Now, the fact, this is because we had less cases, when I've been, we've been having less cases. So this is why it's gone down. But to think about this, 892 people died, and we are thinking that's pretty good. Well, that's the state of affairs. Part of why we're reeling, and the world notched 10,000 deaths, which is a whole lot higher than what it did last week, and has been doing significantly in the last week. So don't know why, but definitely other parts of the world may not be having the kinds of success that we're having. The world is reeling. It's just as simple as that. Excuse me. We've been, a lot of these things, when a crisis happens, we don't know the effects until after the crisis subsides. And that's where we are now. It's now subsiding. We're now going to start seeing, oh, my hand has been paining me, this, all these other. Anyway, we're going to get into that later on to the show. All right. But basically, there's a lot of pain. And now people want to get out and kind of, I get it. I want to be out there. I want to have fun this summer. I'm planning summer session for my online school. And we understand that summer session is going to be, it is what it is. But we want that summer session to, we would like the summer session to be a successful one, but we want people to be outside. As simple as that. How can we have people outside when there's a pandemic? So we're hoping that the pandemic subsides and we can go out and have a more normal life, but it is what it is. We got to do what we got to do. Because jumping the gun is going to cost people's lives. So, onto our public announcement. We have the COVID-19 promo now available on YouTube in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. We advise you to go check it out. All right, thank you. Let's watch our public announcement.
Adapting to the new normal has taken our family time. As work has changed, so has our lifestyle. We try to stay healthy, exercise, and always have our mask on going out. When COVID-19 began to impact our family, it hit us in ways we couldn't imagine. After the loss of my mother, we weren't sure what challenges could follow. As the vaccination has rolled out, we've done the research to see if it may work best for our family. Until then, our family has tried to remain active in keeping our mental health strong. Together, our family is going to try to remain strong, healthy, and informed.
So please check us out on our resource hub. Right, go to the resource hub, www.AfroAmerican1/COVID-19. Check out some of the information we have there. All right, and as usual, we want to give you a little bit of update on our COVID-19 contact tracing awareness program. This is where we provide community leaders with resources to educate their communities. The free services to aid your community fight on COVID-19. We do give you free consultations, develop program development, webinars, contact tracing info, vaccination info, COVID-19 financial info. So we do have a lot of information and services that we can provide you. Give your community a good start so they can go out there and meet people. All right. So that notwithstanding, our research is as simple. Do your research and make the decision. Join the fight against COVID-19. We want you to stay fit, exercise, right? Mental health. Make sure you're communicating, interacting with others, even if it's through Zoom. Do what you can. Eat well, and all these natural things that we're supposed to be doing anyway. But COVID-19 can be a great motivator to get some of these things done. And we also want you to wash your hands all the time. Anytime I see a station where I can do the hand sanitizer, like in the store or whatever, I just do it. Why not, right? Keep some lotion so your hands don't get ashy. Wear a mask, wear two. It's scientifically proven two will take care of 92% of your issues, protect others against any coronavirus. Socially distance, we want you to stay away, especially from indoor crowds. Going to a restaurant, it's not a good idea, all right? Because people are in the restaurant, they're talking, they're not masked, and they're just letting all the virus all into the air. Also, contact trace. You have an infections period of 10 to 14 days. We want you to stay away from people during that time. Remember your contacts, because you see, if you develop symptoms, you've been contagious for 3 days prior. So we want you to remember your contacts. So in case you've been in contact with people, you can be the one to reach out to them and tell them, hey, I think I have COVID. We need you to, and we were hanging out together a couple of days ago. We want you to just kind of take it easy. Don't go to work until we are sure that you're in the clear. Finally, we want everybody to get their vaccination. It's important. I know there's fear out there in regards to, racism, as well as how fast the vaccine was produced. The vaccine is not really produced fast. It has been produced for 2 decades, at least since the 90s. And what it is that maybe the final ingredient, the final flavoring, so to say, was put in that said, oh, this is for COVID-19. But the actual structure and all the chemicals and everything put together, that has been done since, right? Also, if you can do that, get the flu vaccine, right? That kills 12,000 to 60,000 people every year. We should be able to do that, all right? We want to do this because we don't want our hospitals fill up. We don't want our hospitals to be a place of fear where we can't go because we think that, we're not going to get treated for the other things that we're supposed to. So it's very important that we continue this, especially now that we think that everything is everything is good to go. It's not good to go. All right. Things are not good to go. All right. We are still trending higher than we were during last summer. No, not as high during the peak of last summer, but we're there, right? 8,900, 890 something people dying every day. And as we know, at the end of this month, we expect that the variants will be the dominating strain in the community. And remember, these variants can reinfect you. So it's not like you can't get reinfected. Okay. All right. So let's get started, So you can see that the cases now, we told everybody that they should be careful, that they shouldn't, think that it's over, yet people think it is over. Cases are rising now. And with the new variants, are they going to rise in a significant way? This is what we're hoping doesn't happen, because the original virus, I think it's not, we have our systems in place to take care of the original virus, but now we're getting to another case where the variants may be more infectious and may be infecting more people. So how do we get this done, right? In fact, Monday in Massachusetts, March 22nd we're entering into phase 4. We're even reopening more, allowing the TD Garden to have fans. So big places can have fans, I think to about 12% capacity. right? If you had 100 people before, you can now have 150. There's also marginal things around the edges, but basically, it's more of the messaging. Because even during the height of the pandemic, people, there were still restaurants that were open and had a lot of people in it, right? There was no, so they say they were social distancing, but people are desperate to keep their businesses and their livelihood in order. They are not listening. So now that you've send this message out there, we can even see it from, our COVID-19 research that now when you talk to people, it's kind of like it's behind them. You can hear it from the way they're talking. So the messaging is extremely important. In Massachusetts, they are they're reserving 20% of the vaccine for hard hit communities, aka communities of color. This is a very good thing. At least we know that there's some special provisions being done, not to address accessibility in communities of color, which is the main thing. I always talk about redlining and how redlining is a big issue for us here at the Afro-American Culture Initiative and just in general. And that is one of the things that we have to really think about, is that there's no access because these places are devoid of healthy structures. The place was not built to be healthy. It was built to accommodate a class of racial people, and that's what's spreading some of this information. Well, some of this problems that we're having in our communities. I don't know what to tell you. It's everywhere. I keep on telling you that redlining is the foundation of systemic racism. That there's no other, there's no other thing that lies into that. All right. So apparently, the federal government, Massachusetts, is getting a federal government assistance in the tune of $27.4 million to address vaccine equity, which is appropriate. So they're going to be spending $27.4 million statewide. So we just hope that all these measures will save lives in our community. All right, so let's go on to this next topic, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, some of you may have heard of this, that there's a potential issue with the vaccine. The vaccine has reportedly been known to cause blood clotting in a small amount of people. So it's not a widespread issue. Now, have they conclusively linked it? Studies are being done. However, and this is the Oxford AstraZeneca. So this was the UK. This is the UK generated vaccine. Now, it was a lot of countries have just paused it. Like, we don't have the data. We're not going to continue giving people things that we think are causing blood clots. Now, once again, I would say that it's a very small number when you're giving any vaccine to a bunch of people. There will be reactions. Some people will be bigger than or more mild or more severe than others, but that's what happens. Now, overall, safety is still the same. I want to be very clear. I am reporting this news because I want you guys to know that the information, the real truth of what's going on out there, right? I know there's vaccine hesitancy. So if I'm really trying to get you to take your vaccination, I shouldn't be reporting this, should I? I should be reporting something that'll make vaccines seem all rosy and great, right? Now, in America, it must be known that it has not been authorized. This Oxford AstraZeneca has yet to be authorized in the United States. We have Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. Those are the three. And so far, so good with those. We're not hearing any similar feedback, right? Like, countries aren't not using those vaccines, like they are not using the vaccines in they're not using the Oxford AstraZeneca. Many countries, like in Europe and some, and I think in South Africa as well, have stopped using the vaccine. So anyway, let us that is very important. So here we have Pfizer, Moderna, and Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson and Johnson. The Johnson and Johnson is the one dose, while the other two are a dose today, a dose in 3 to 4 weeks, right? Now, the vaccine has been in as of Monday in Texas. Anybody who wants a vaccine can go get a vaccine in Texas. April 19th seems to be the date for us. I don't know why it's taken it, but I think it is because of a regimen, the seriousness. And this is where it looks, oh, well, that sounds great. Texas is giving everybody on Monday. But the reason why I believe they're doing it on Mondays because they're not really having they have not really dealt with a lot of their accessibility issues, or hesitancy issues. So they're not getting enough people to come in and take the vaccine. So they say, let's just give it to everybody. And at least let's just not have vaccines sitting on the shelf, right? This is good, but I'm seeing some negative sides in the back. Like there might be a lot of hesitancy in some areas that if you're not getting, and also a lot of accessibility, getting the shots in arms to people who cannot come easily. So are they taking the time to break it down and go through their teachers and go through their, their senior citizens and some of the more susceptible groups? Are they doing that? That is where we really need to take another look at what is going on with these vaccination rollouts. So basically, a lot of states across the United States have started offering it to everybody. I can't wait for Boston to do theirs so I can make my appointment, right? Especially because summer is on the way. And I believe this summer is going to be wild, y'all. People have 2 summers pent up and they want to let loose. And not saying I'm going to let loose, but definitely I would like to do that. I would like. So, there you have it. All right. Now, when you're vaccinated, what does that mean? When you're vaccinated, it means that you can go out. You have to wear your mask. Still wear your mask because you're able to spread you can still spread it if you get it, or you can still get it. But it's just that the symptoms will be very, very mild, right? Will you be able to spread it as much? Not as much. But you can now meet with people, right? You can now go to places, meet with people with ready assurances that you are not spreading the disease, right? So it is good to get the vaccine. Now, when you get your mask, now that's another thing. When are we going to stop mandating masks? Are we still going to mandate masks? Because if I can't get it, then why should I wear the mask? See, everything starts crumbling once you start taking 1 or 2 things off. But we'll see what they do with that, right? The last thing we need is for people this summer to go crazy. If you see what's happened in Miami Beach, in Miami Beach, spring break is upon us. Kids are amassing in mad numbers. Like they do not care about this coronavirus. It's over. They are so over it. I just can't. These are some of the words I hear from my kids, right? And Miami Beach, they've increased their curfew in order to slow down some of this wildness that's going on. It's going to be wild because people are just going to be ready to act out, and that is, I guess that's where, that's where things are going to be, and, that's where things are going to be. We're going to have to just be very careful, right? Now, I saw this article. I saw this article and I was kind of, a bit, wow, this article is kind of crazy. Apparently in India, there is a double COVID mutant, meaning that it has evolved with more than one mutation. So it's like a mixture. It's like the Brazilian and there are two mutations in the same virus, which they don't know what it means right now. But I don't think it means anything good for us. So this is is why everybody needs to get vaccinated. These mutations only happen as a result of continual spread. Okay? The more it spreads and jumps from person to person, this virus now continues to take off. And this is what we've got to start doing. We've got to start understanding that if we get vaccinated, that's why we need to get vaccinated. If we get vaccinated, we can stop it from jumping from person to person and therefore stop the mutations. Now there's a double mutation, right? That's two mutations found in one virus. Can you beat that? Wow. Brazil right now is out of control. They're experienced the worst days of their pandemic, and they've been going on and on and on. Right? So they're obviously going to be even more variants, and they have so much death and no way of controlling it. It is the worst nightmare. Right? Now in America, we're lucky. We have things like the stimulus bill, which are helping people go along because Brazil doesn't have that. So if it starts spreading like wildfire, then they don't have the facilities and the money and everything to keep things going while everybody's on lockdown. Even America is struggling with it. So while the stimulus is on the way, we all need to thank our lucky stars that we're Americans. If this was happening in Brazil, we would be on our own. The eviction moratorium, I believe, ends at the end of the month. I don't know whether they're going to do anything to help out that situation, but nonetheless, these are some of the issues that that we have to be worried of. When you add the evictions, then you add the hesitancy, right? And the drive for economic to get money back in the pockets of people. This is what all going to drive the numbers up. I hope that we don't get to a level where we are so fed up with being in lockdown, so fed up with doing all these things that we continue pushing and we continue pushing until we drive until we start getting increased deaths, and then we'll be back into another lockdown. I'm just telling you, these are the possibilities. This is what's out there, right? Lastly, I want to end my coronavirus on, because we've been talking about it in different ways, and that is the mental stress. There was a report that came out, took about 300 hospitals and looked at a lot of the information that was going on out there, and it went into the mental stress and the things that are happening to the hospital, to the medical system as a result of coronavirus. The first thing that they mentioned were the financial issues. Now remember, a lot of these places didn't get funding on time, or they're operating at a loss because people are just coming in like crazy. They're losing revenue from their normal streams. So these hospitals, and some of these hospitals are the only hospitals within, miles and miles. So they're drastically important. And they're having financial issues there. How are they going to pay the bills? How are they going to keep people paid? Money they're not getting, reimbursement for some of their coronavirus, steps. So there's a lot of issues going on during the financial issue, right? Other diagnoses. This is big, right? I need to go to the dentist, and I have not been to the dentist because I don't want to catch coronavirus, but I need to let me put it on my schedule. Make appointment for dentist. All right. I did it for real, like right here. Right? So people are not getting diagnosed. They are not going in for the regular checkups. They're not doing. So what's going to happen is that once this subsides, and I've said it before, during the crisis, people don't really understand how things are, but it's after the crisis that you'll really see how terrible and how things will be, right? And I think that afterwards there's going to be a big wave of people who are going to be like, oh, like I'm sick. So maybe you would have caught the cancer in stage 1 or stage 2. But because you did not go to the doctor for a year and a half because you were scared of coronavirus, it now goes to, stage 3 or stage 4. Now you cannot even, now you can barely survive if you can, right? So that's another thing. Then finally was the toll, and I've been saying this from the beginning, the toll that is taken on our medical frontline staff. You have to imagine what it's like, surrounded by death, your friends dying, your co-workers dying, being the comfort and soul of people, because a lot of people, their families cannot be with them during their last moments. You don't hear the stories. People holding on to people's hands while they die and things like that, right? The long hours, the crazy shifts, the extensive, wartime footing, always being on alert. The additional stress of coming home to your family, hoping not to have brought the virus with you, right? The time that they spend away from their family and friends, because during this tough time, maybe if you could go home and be with your family and friends, that would be helpful. But because of the social distancing, there are doctors that are not living at home, right? Or they stay at home very sparingly in order to minimize the exposure to their children and spouses, right? So they're seeing what they are describing as PTSD. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder, and it is understandable. Going through all that for such a long time, it's only after the crisis we'll begin to see the true depth of the damage that has been done by COVID-19. Like I said, the village is reeling. So now on to our news section of the show. I am very happy to say that Boston has its first woman mayor, acting mayor, Kim Janey. Yes, it happened yet on the 22nd on Monday, and her formal swearing in is today. She is a native of Roxbury, a traditionally red line area of the community. So I'm excited to have proper representation in this city, even if it's on an acting level. But this acting level will give her a fantastic platform to continue on as the real mayor, as they'll have a special election, most likely in November. All right. So congratulations, Kim Janey. We thank you and we welcome you, and we look forward to working with you to bring equity to communities of color in Boston, Massachusetts. Her history is kind of interesting. She has Guyanese heritage, mostly African American, from North Carolina, Virginia. But yeah, she's from Roxbury. Her father's from Roxbury, and she got bused to Charlestown as a child. So I know that's a redlining band-aid. So I'm sure she'll be understanding and be able to help us. And how did she get there? Well, she's the acting mayor because the old mayor, Marty Walsh, that's Marty, but we said Marty in Boston, Marty Walsh was tapped by President Joe Biden to be his Secretary of Labor. And he just got confirmed, I believe, end of last week. So he is now on his way to lead the Department of Labor. Now, to be fair, Marty Walsh has been a champion of unions for many, many years. It's a working man kind of guy. And I believe that he has the right ideas, especially with diversity and equity, to make things work. So I'm looking forward to that. Him going there and doing a great job. But I'm even more excited for Kim Janey because this 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 city really needs it. It really needs somebody who's going to be thinking about equity and shifting the balance from where it has been over the many centuries in Boston. All right. Then we have, oh, it's been so tragic. This is why our village is reeling. The mass shootings. I can't tell you how disappointing it is to turn on the news only to find that somebody has picked up an AR-15 and gone ballistic on the local spa or the local grocery store or school or whatever, what have you. This is such a terrible thing. I heard a very good commentary today on the news. It was about the arrogance of the United States when it comes to its exceptionalism and not learning from other countries. And the person mentioned the healthcare, we're not doing good. Education, we're not doing good compared to the rest of the world. Where I mean, you cannot even compare us to Europe, Asia, even Africa. You cannot compare the educational system when you say, okay, what is education? What are the kids learning, right? You cannot compare it to the standard, the best of the best. You cannot compare, right? Education, health, a lot of things have to do with our public because everything is about capitalism. We have to make money on needs. I don't think that is what capitalism is about. I think capitalism is about making money on buying products and innovating products to make them better and improve the lives of people. But when it comes to food and medicine and housing and things that people need, education, I don't think that those things should be capitalized on, which is why we don't have a great educational system in the United States. And this ties into the gun law because it's the same thing. We have the most amount of murder and suicide and death. That's why we don't care about the people dying from coronavirus, because we're used to people dying. It's in our DNA. We like death is okay. Why? Because of a gun lobby that wants to sell guns. In the end of the day, that's all it's about. Though I think there's some high number, but 70 or 80% of the US population, even I've heard some people say things as high as 90% of the population believes that there should be universal background checks for anybody buying a gun. Think about how simple an idea that is. That if you want to get a credit card, you need a background. You want to get a job, background check. They have whole industries designed around background checks. And to buy a gun that can kill somebody, there needs to be no background check, no barriers. But if it's to get people to barriers to put people into the voting booth, that one, oh no, that one there's all kinds of barriers and voter ID laws. In fact, that should be our new mantra. We just do what you're doing for voting for guns. That's what you should do, and you'll stop a lot of it. So, like I said, in Atlanta, we had 8 people were killed, 6 of whom were Asian Americans. So we want to take this opportunity to utterly and completely and full-throatedly condemn any violence against Asian Americans in this country, Pacific Islanders in this country. Okay? They are not the cause of coronavirus. The virus is the cause of coronavirus. Humanity's deforestation for capitalistic purposes are what caused the virus to jump from a bat into a human, because we're all up in their habitat now. All right? Not Asian Americans. And the funny thing about it is that you look back in history, there's been a whole lot of Asian American discrimination, but it's overwhelmed by the Black discrimination, because of course that is the, that is the most prevalent. But the Asian Americans have not had it easy in this country. They've been in internment, or the Native Americans, not that it's Asian, but I'm just trying to give another example. The Native Americans, they had schools that were there to remove their culture, deculturalize them. This is just the saddest. Right? We condemn it. Then we had Boulder, Colorado yesterday. 10 people just in the grocery store, man. I'm in my grocery store a lot. And can you imagine that one day I'm out there picking my avocados? I pick other things, but I'm going to just talk about the healthy ones right now. Those avocados, I'll now be dodging bullets. What? And it's all because of gun control. The GOP, they want their guns because it's trying to take away the Second Amendment. And it's not. We're just saying that anybody that wants to own a gun should definitely not just get it with like you're buying some candy. I mean, to get your medicine, you need a background check. They need to know your records. There are a lot of things they need to know your records. To get you behind the wheel, they need to check your records to see if you're a safe driver. So they say, oh, these people are mentally ill. Well, guess what? Then there needs to be a mentally ill registry. And if you're on that list, you cannot own a gun. These are the things but oh no, it's an infringement of freedom. Everything is their freedom. I don't know what their freedom is. Their freedom is to kill people, to exploit people. Right? And of course, it boils down to what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, the filibuster. They've passed something in Congress, 2 bills in Congress. In fact, President Biden had a wonderful, rousing speech in which he discussed that he not just wanted the background checks, he wanted a ban on assault rifles. There is no need to have an assault rifle. This is for killing a lot of people quickly. That is what this is. That is what this is for. Killing a lot of people quickly. You don't need to kill a lot of people quickly. If it's for sport, then we need to have what are sporting rifles. You're only supposed to kill, are you going to kill the whole people, all the animals in the jungle? You kill one and you go home. If that's so important to you. You protect your house. Okay, so what do you need? An AR-15 to protect your house? Ridiculous. And of course, is the filibuster, which that is stopping this from happening, because the Congress, the lower house, has been able to pass 2 bills, but they're going to be dead on arrival in the Senate, because the Senate, you need 60 votes, which is the filibuster. So it allows the minority to control the situation, and that's what's happening. So we can't get it passed because the Republicans refuse to see common sense, even though 90% of their own constituents are against this guns just being out there, right? All right, last but not least, last but not least, 15 jurors have been seated for the trial against the former police officer that killed George Floyd. The trial starts on Monday. I saw the makeup. It's mostly white people, but they're young. There's like 4 Black people on the jury, women. It's a good mix, I suppose. 2 mixed race people. The younger people, I guess the younger the better. And they're not moving the trial. Everything is going to be, so Monday morning is going to be heated in Minneapolis. So let's keep our eyes on that. All right. So that'll be all for today's news section. And I'll just go over a little bit what's going on with my Boston Celtics. They're sucking pretty hard. It's been difficult to watch, losing to teams that are under 500, not being consistent, not giving the kind of effort, kind of freezing at the end of the game of games. And I think that, Yes, it's this personnel, meaning depth, but I really think the problem is that our superstars are just learning to be superstars now. It's different when you're not the primary focus, but now they've been the primary focus for just a year. This is their full season doing it together. I think that that's where a lot of it is. They don't know how to take over games and just like be the strong, deal with adversity. And that's what a lot of it is. Will go as far as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will take us. Now, the trade deadline is tomorrow, 3 p.m. And I'm hoping that whatever trade, I'd rather not have a trade than get rid of certain players. Rob Williams has to stay. Peyton Pritchard has to stay. Marcus Smart has to stay. Of course, Jadam and Brown have to stay, right? You have a lot of pieces that you can get rid of underneath that. Who else? Tice, yeah, it would be nice to keep Tice, but to me, Tice is the number one guy that, okay, you can get rid of. Tristan Thompson can get out of there. What's his name? Can get Semi Ojale, Grant Williams. All those guys can. Romeo Langford and Naismith, fine. All those guys need to be consolidated into one guy. And if they're going after Gordon, I don't know how much Aaron Gordon really helps the situation, but just to have another quality player coming off the bench may not be, another quality player to add to the top 8 or 9, that will be helpful. But it's what they're going to willing to give up for it. That's the issue. So we'll see what they're, what they're going to do. Tonight we're taking on the Bucks in a mini series. So we played them today. I think we played them again on Friday. And the Celtics just have to. They just have to. Like I said, it's just the leadership of the Celtics. The older, the superstars are young. If we had like a Chris Paul on our team or Derrick Rose on our team, that's the kind of player we need to get. Not really necessarily somebody that is going to be a superstar, but a Floyd general, somebody that knows how to run a team. Right? Marcus Smart is doing Marcus Smart things. He's back. He's doing great things. He is the point guard, really. And I think that they've been playing better since, because he is the point guard. He's looking to get, he's the only pass first person, but he need another great pass person, which I believe Peyton Pritchard will develop into. Right? So I think we're definitely going to make the playoffs. Are we going to be a high seed? Probably not. And we still have to deal with Brooklyn, which is scary right now. Blake Griffin had his first dunk in like a year and a half. He was hiding it. He just didn't want to play for it. He just didn't want to play for Detroit. But anyway, he had his first. There's the Brooklyn Nets. There's the Philadelphia 76ers. There's the Milwaukee Bucks. Those three are heads and shoulders above all the rest, right? Now, can the Celtics sneak in at that fourth? They can, but they have to play right, right? And the good thing about what's happening now, right now, the Atlanta Hawks are number 4. If you go on an 8-game winning streak, you're going to be like right there in the conversation, right? That's what happened. That's why the Atlanta Hawks are number 4 in the East. Can you imagine that? Big shout out to the Phoenix Suns. They're number 2 in the East. On the West. And the West is tough. LeBron James goes down with an injury to his ankle, so I know that is tough. LaMelo Ball goes down with a wrist, broken wrist. And so he's out. He was a contender for the Rookie of the Year. LeBron, of course, is a perennial MVP candidate. So, man, things are, think this tough season. This season is not gonna make any sense, but it's good to have basketball. But I can't wait for next season. Let's do everything right the way we're supposed to do it. All right. The Olympics, seems like the Olympics are going to be on and popping. Of course, just not to the world, but the Olympics will happen. This summer, so I'm looking forward to that. And it's the Olympics 2020. It was supposed to be last year. Then, yeah, Elgin Baylor passed, I think yesterday. Very, very sad. He was the first NBA superstar, like the first Black person, to be honest, that was just like a small, athletic, using all, playing above the rim, fancy flips, and doing things that his white counterparts had never imagined. So, rest in peace, Elgin Baylor. They said that he was because of him they made the word superstar. So thank God for his life and his contributions. Take care. Rest in peace, Elgin Baylor. Right. Now let me tidy this show up. So the only announcement we have is a huge one. The AfroAmerican Academy, we've been in the planning stages, and we are in the planning stages right now, and it is slated for June 28th to August 27th. That's when the academy will start. Okay. It's going to be a great hybrid. We're working on a hybrid schedule, mixing in our class work during the summer. We're going to be, we're going to be mixing in our classwork with, we're going to be mixing in our classwork with, our material. We have our cultural competency and our social justice and financial literacy and all this other stuff. So we're mixing in all this stuff in with hybrid opportunities because kids want to get out. I hope by then we will have more freedoms and more things will be open. We can go to the zoo. We can go to the zoo. We can go to the museum, visit lots of places in the community. So we're looking forward to that. And we're going to have a community info session April 12th and 17th. We're going to send that shortly out here and be letting people know when we're having our info session. It will be at, I think it's like 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, the April 24th. That's when, so we're going to have some visitors, some people in. We're going to have some organizations in to talk about some of their offerings with AfroAmerican. And it's just going to be an all-around fun time. So we're looking forward to that. All right. So we want to thank you. It's going to be great. It has been another great episode of the Village Square weekly podcast. Like I said, this will be the last one that we'll be doing at 8 o'clock in the morning for foreseeable future. It's because, like I said, I've accepted a position to be teaching children of color here in Roxbury. I am excited to be dealing with these people, these young people that need just some more direction in their lives. So that's what I'll be doing. So I'm still doing my business, but we will not be doing it as at 8 o'clock. And I haven't gotten any feedback from some of my partners, so I don't want to give you any false dates now. But for that being said, if we're not there next week or the following week, we will definitely try and be on by the 1st of next month, where we can recalibrate and come up with some exciting new ways for us to keep you going. So we're very happy about that. And remember, this is about COVID-19. This podcast started because of COVID-19, and we wanted to find a way to communicate a lot of the information that we give to our community members, and we've been doing it. We get a lot of views on Facebook and things like that. It has been exciting, so we look forward to that. So this is please check out the COVID-19 Resource Hub. We've got a lot of great information, some city organizations, some international organizations, some statewide organizations, COVID-19 government sites, you name it, we've got it on there. Resources from the city of Boston, loads of things on there. So please check it out. It's www.afroamerican1.org/COVID-19. Or for more information, email COVID-19@afroamerican1.org, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And the idea is that maybe you want us to come to your community and give a webinar. Please, we'll do that. Remember, Afro-American Culture Initiative, we're all about African diaspora cultural education, right? We consult, we provide independent research, social project management, educational content, building cultural bridges in African diaspora through education, technology, and travel, right? That is our mission. That our vision is to create a world in which that respects and supports African diaspora culture, right? Check us out on Facebook, all your social medias, Twitter, Instagram at AfroAmerican1. Check out our website, AfroAmerican1.org. Go hit us up on YouTube. But most importantly, go to our Afro-American TV on YouTube and subscribe. Subscribe right there. You see it? That's where it is. So thank you and have a great rest of your week. Remember, we need you to continue moving forward, to continue being positive, right? Continue thinking of new ways to keep our African diaspora culture going, right? Working for equity and standing up for equity in many ways. Now, I had a meeting I gave a lecture to some children at Northeastern University, all white kids, and I heard some very interesting feedback of how they're dealing with their parents who may be less progressive in regards to diversity and inclusion. Not saying they're bad people. And it was an interesting point where I go, this is something that needs to be studied. And I noticed that the teacher himself said, oh, this is something that needs to be studied. Like, he was surprised I said that. Like, yes. And I think that is what I've come to the conclusion. Well, it's not my conclusion. This conclusion has been around for a long time. But the conclusion I have is how are we going to teach white people how to deal with their problem of racism? Because it's their problem. I mean, we'd have no problem with black people. It's white people that have problem with black people. So we have to deal with a lot of these cultures, and we want everybody, to continue to stand up, do what they need to do to ensure that there's equity in everything we do, not equality. Equality will keep us exactly where we are. We're talking about equity. How do black people catch up? That's what Afro-American Culture Initiative is all about. And we're working to find solutions. We're not just sitting around talking, which is what I understand is important. We need to start the conversation. Yeah, we need to start the conversation. All right. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for attending today's Village Square, and we want to wish everybody a blessed week ahead. See you when we see you. Normally I say see you next week, but we are going to be off the air for a little bit to restructure how we want to move forward. All right. Thank you.